foster responsibility. I love the old Chinese proverb that states, "Tell a man how to do something and he will forget. Show him how to do it and he may remember. But get him involved and he will understand." Our kids learn differently and have different capacities to learn at different times in their lives. It is up to us to discern their strengths and weaknesses and introduce opportunities for them to learn and to grow and overcome their weaknesses according to what they can handle. One of the best ways to teach kids responsibility is to assign weekly chores, and as they get older, increase the level of responsibility to help them grow. Everyday weekly chores around the house is a true great way to start. Taking out the garbage, picking up after themselves, cleaning the bathrooms or mopping the floors, cutting the grass, watching the cars, organizing presentation folders at your job, or even creating spreadsheets at your job. As your child gets older, let them graduate from one chore which required small detail to the next that requires more thought and more skill. But don't forget the Chinese proverb, get them involved. It's not okay just to tell them or show them how to do something. If you want them to understand, you must allow for involvement to be added to the equation. And the combination of all three will give them the best chance for success. So here is a true story of how my boys learned firsthand how having responsibility at an early age builds character and help them become reliable, responsible young men. But let me first set the background. My boys had been doing chores around the house and the office since they were about 3 to 5 years of age. The chores they were assigned at home, like picking up after themselves or cleaning the bathrooms, were all part of them being part of our family team, and they got paid zero for it, no allowance. We did pay them $1 each to come to the office and take out the garbage and vacuum. When they could handle more, we paid them more for more skillful work at the office, like making copies, organizing presentation folders, or creating spreadsheets, which was a real easy way for us to teach them the concept of you get paid what you're worth. Well, it was the summer after we had moved into our newly constructed home. Everything was new, including the grass. Beautiful, thick, green St. Augustine grass that could not be cut for the first 3 weeks in order for the roots to take. My boys were about 12 and 14, and I told the boys that it would be their new chore to cut and edge the grass along with trimming the bushes. And they were actually excited. We drove to the hardware store to buy the new lawnmower, and my boys made a dash towards the riding mowers. I smiled and understood why they had been so excited and said, "Not so fast. We're getting a push mower." The boys pushed back a little, as it would be so cool driving a lawnmower as a chore, but eventually they conceded to a push mower, as it was also a new toy. The first cut was absolutely comical. I showed them how to operate the equipment, had them operate it under my supervision, and then let them go to town. Within 10 to 15 minutes, the boys came in and said, "Hey, Dad, man, we need a water break." A legitimate claim because we lived in South Florida and the heat is grueling in the summer. They took about a 20-minute break and returned to work, only to stop 10 to 15 minutes later to complain. "Dad, the grass is way too thick." I assured them it was not and sent them back out. 10 to 15 minutes later, they came back complaining, "Why don't we pay someone else to cut the grass? None of our friends cut the grass." This went back and forth, and about after 2.5 hours, the grass, edging, and trimming was nicely done. The next week, the process took only about an hour and a half, with plenty of water breaks, but no complaining. Remember, this was the summer, and in South Florida, it rains a lot. So when the third week rolled around, the boys were not even remotely interested or excited to do their weekly chore. It was a Saturday morning, and I had been awake many hours and when the phone rang. "Hello, Mr. Reynoso? This is Joe and Billy, and we want to know if Buddy and Brian can go boating with us this morning." I said in a loud voice, "So, Joe and Billy, you guys are going boating, and you want Buddy and Brian to join you. What time were you planning on going boating?" They answered, 10 a.m. So again, I repeated in a loud voice so my boys can hear it. "You're going boating at 10 a.m. It's 9 a.m. right now. It takes me about 15 minutes to drive to your home, so if the boys can cut, trim, and edge the yard in 45 minutes, they can make it and go boating with you." Before I hung up the phone, the boys were running outside to take care of their chore. They accomplished a job that the week before took them an hour and a half in 45 minutes, without a break, without any complaints, and without cutting corners. That day, they grew about 2 feet. Life is full of learning moments, and as dads, we can either deny our kids the opportunity to become the best version of themselves by pampering them, or thinking that labor or mundane work is beneath them, or we can conscientiously look for and seize those learning moments to help our kids grow and have them grow through those chores. Do you know a guy who is in his late 30s or 40s, or even older for that matter, who just never grew up? Don't misunderstand me. There is nothing wrong with being young at heart. Heck, I am a little boy stuck in an old man's body. I too love to play and have a good time, but responsibility is what makes a man. Taking responsibility for his actions, taking responsibility for the direction of his life, and taking responsibility to take care of the needs of others. It is a mature or broken man who doesn't acknowledge this fact and does not do what he needs to do to meet the challenge. Someone once said, "You are only young once, but can be immature for a lifetime." How true that is. If we want to raise adults and not kids, then don't shelter your children from chores or tasks that will help them become responsible in doing it. And as I mentioned earlier, slowly increase the level of responsibility and required skill. You will then be delighted as you watch your kids grow. Here's another great saying. You cannot change your ancestors, but you can do something about your descendants. That person was 100% right. As dads, we set the example for our kids to follow. Make it a great one. St. Paul gives the best advice in this area in his letter to the Colossians, chapter 3, verse 23 to 24. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. What a great concept. Teach your kids that whatever they engage in, be it taking out the garbage, a homework assignment, washing the car, playing a sport or an instrument, it doesn't matter. When they do it with the best of their ability, and do it for the glory of God, not the recognition of others or themselves. Pretty good stuff. Here is one last quote. Every job is a self-portrait of the person who does it. Autograph your work with excellence. Our next stop, anger management. Come on, keep on learning.